Hey boys and girls, it's Chris from MMORPG.com with you again, and today we have a treat for you. We're looking at the Viotek 32-inch curved 1440p 144Hz monitor. It's big, it's fast, and it has FreeSync. This video is brought to you by our friends at Massdrop. We found this monitor on Massdrop and had to check it out for ourselves. The drop is concluded now, but you can follow the link down below to request it again and check out lots of other cool enthusiast drops while you're there. Support us by supporting them. Alright guys, here we are. This is the Viotek GN32Q 32-inch curved display. Now this monitor is absolutely stand out. When I first got this thing, I didn't really know what to expect. I hadn't really heard of Viotek before, even though they have a couple other models out there, but I've been so impressed I knew we had to do a review of this display. So it's 32 inches, it's a 2560 by 1440p resolution, so full 1440p, and it runs at a very fast 144 Hz, so in games it functions phenomenally. Right now this is going for $599 on Amazon, but you could pick it up on sale typically for about $499, but if you watch Massdrop, that's been the best price we've seen so far on it, so make sure you're keeping an eye, and that link is down below for you to check it out and request that they bring this back. Now, even though Viotek isn't the biggest brand in the world, they have gained some attention from their displays in the past, most notably the 1080p version of this display right here. They also have a 34-inch ultra-wide version, but really, I think this is about the perfect fit for size and performance. There's a trade-off when you go for those bigger displays, and that you're going to have a graphics card that can push that extra resolution. Likewise, if you go for 1080p at 32 inches, you get some of that dreaded screen door effect because you can actually see the pixels. The 1440p monitor we have right here has none of that. You can get close to the thing, and you're really going to have to squint to see any of the pixel display on there. So it's a very nice immersive monitor that's really helped by that curved panel that they have there. So let's get into the features. This monitor is FreeSync enabled, so if you have an AMD card, you can count on an even smoother experience as it syncs the frame rate from your card to what's being displayed on the screen. It gets rid of some screen tearing and gives you just a smoother overall gameplay experience with it. My favorite feature though has got to be these ultra thin bezels. I mean, look at these things. They call this borderless. Now, of course, we know that with the display, there is no such thing as borderless, but this comes awfully close, you guys. It is very thin. Now, what you do want to take note of, though, and you can see this in the video if you look close, we'll see if we can zoom that in, is right along here, there is a black border on the display itself. Now, in practice, that doesn't make a whole lot of difference because it gets rid of the metal frame anyway, so it gives you a cleaner, really nicer looking display by going for this route versus having a thick bezel that's going to cover all that up. And this is just a symptom of the technology of displays. Now this is a thin display as well. Now looking at it from the front, you're really not going to see exactly how thin it is or where they store some of those components on the inside. So let's take a look. So here it is. You can see just how thin this actually is, and I love that they hide the components in this bottom portion. With the way it sits on the stand, you really can't tell that it does get this extra bit of thickness back here, and it's a really clever design decision to hide that in that way. You can adjust the tilt, which is nice, but there's no kind of left and right, back and forth. You're definitely not going to be twisting it, so it's a rigid stand and you're going to be a little more limited in that way. Moving on to the back, our inputs are fairly standard. We have one DVI-D, one HDMI, and one DisplayPort, as well as our DC input, as this display does use a separate power brick that you can connect your old cable into. Now we do have a little cutout right there that I would assume was for audio on a different version. However, this doesn't have speakers, which is an omission, but generally we're not using those anyway, so it's not the most consequential omission that you have. But I do like that you can switch between 3 separate devices and have them all display on this monitor. One thing I am a fan of is that they added VESA mounting holes right there. So this will connect up onto any standard stand. If you want to hook it up on a display arm, you can do that. Mount it on a wall, you can do that. Or just get a different stand with a little bit of height adjustment, you can do that as well. So that shows they've been listening to feedback from their customer base because the 1080p model actually lacked those same mounting holes. So it's good to hear that they're listening and they're being reactive. Now, another small feature that I'm a fan of is that they've put the navigation buttons on the underside, so you can actually see what you're pushing and when. Screen navigation is fairly straightforward. It makes a big screen right down here at the bottom, so you can go ahead and see what you're adjusting and do it fairly easily with these control buttons. It features dynamic contrast to make those blacks blacker. It allows you to enable or disable FreeSync and overdrive. There's also several different color modes on there for different types of games that you might be playing. So let's get to what you really want to know about. How does this thing perform in games? And guys, it is incredible. If you're coming from a 60 Hz panel into this 144 Hz panel, you're in for a treat because it's like night and day. From the minute you turn it on, everything is smoother. Your desktop is smoother. It's like your mouse just kind of slides across the desktop, for real. But when you're in games, everything is more fluid, and you don't have to be playing a fast-paced game to feel that, whether it's an RPG, a turn-based game, Hearthstone, or Counter-Strike or Battlefield 1, you're going to feel that extra fluidity. So in the console world, 30 FPS was the gold standard for a long time, and then people started playing Call of Duty, and that got huge, and that was 60 FPS, and it pushed everybody into that smoother space. So that's 60 FPS, and this will allow you to put out 144 if your rig will support it. So just use your imagination on how impactful that actually is for the smoothness of your gameplay, because you can definitely feel it. After using this monitor for a couple weeks, I can honestly say I have no reservations recommending it to anybody who might be in the market for one. It is just that good. I bought a 4K monitor a few months ago. I paid a bunch of money for it, and this display will actually be replacing that as soon as we're done with this review, and that is not something I ever expected to happen, but it is that good. That big, gorgeous, color-rich 32-inch display with the curve, the ultra-fast refresh rate, it just elevates the gameplay experience, and enjoying any kind of content that much more that going back to a standard display definitely feels like a step down. So Viotek has a real winner here, and they've definitely made a fan out of me. So as I said at the beginning of this video, we found this over at Massdrop, and that drop is now ended. But you can click the link down below to request they bring that back, and while you're there, check out some of the other neat items they have. They have other displays, but what I love about it is that it's an enthusiast community where people vote on things they would like to see for sale. And people get together and they get discounts on those things. So even if you're just browsing around, it's neat to see what the most dedicated people think are the best and most worth buying. So definitely check that out, and if you use our link, you're going to be helping support the channel and support our website. So guys, that's it for today. Remember to like and subscribe, and visit us over at MMORPGcom for all of your MMO and RPG news and regular hardware content. Until next time.